252.
Hey, welcome to another episode of 252. This is Frank G here along with
Johnny Blaze,
Coolwater Kurt,
and Ralphie D.
Today we're going to talk Super Friends. They ran from 73 to, 85, 86, and it was there for our entire childhoods, and it was many people's introduction to the DC superheroes. Who wants to kick this one off?
Well, you basically said everything I was going to say.
I pre-blurbed your blurb. Oh.
Yeah, you did.
I will go ahead and start by saying that this actually definitely was my introduction into the world of DC. It was this cartoon, specifically watching the Justice League or the Super Friends, where I was introduced to Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman. I didn't, and I remember as a kid being like, my mind kind of blown. I was like, because that was superheroes on TV. There was no other superhero shows on TV except for there might have been the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was
the first Spider-Man, not Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but the
the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Spidey Super Stories on the Electric Company.
I do remember that. I do remember that. But watching
nobody knows who you are.
Well done. My favorite memory from this show is, of course, the immortal Ted Knight's voice as the narrator. Oh my God, yeah. Frank! How many times did we imitate that voice?
Oh yeah, and he did the first bunch of years, and those were the real classics, the ones that we always did the voiceovers for. And they replaced him later on when I don't know, maybe he just had better things to do. But,
too close for comfort.
The other guy, yeah, that's probably it. The other guy
with
that came
Jim
in
J.
was,
Bullock.
Jim J. Bullock. Monroe.
He should have thrown one of those in on one of his read-throughs.
Meanwhile, Monroe. Yeah, exactly. But the guy that replaced him with was the guy that on the Mary Tyler Moore show came in to audition to be the replacement Ted Baxter. So it all kind of made that circle there.
Oh, wow.
He was also the guy that did WKRP in Cincinnati. We'll be back after this. The same dude.
And William Woodson. Another thing that I loved finding out as you get older and you find out voices and who people are. Casey Kasem is Robin.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, we knew that back then. Why is Shaggy Robin?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And then he'd show up on America's Top 10, and it confused the heck out of everything because you're like, "That's that guy." I thought he looked like Shaggy.
I was. I guess you can say at that time I was voiceover deaf, if that's even a thing. Like I wouldn't.
Sure.
I believed the character was the character, and their voice was their voice, and I all the way through their run. Now watching and I would also watch when Batman and Robin was on Scooby-Doo, and you're like, oh, okay, we're over here now.
It's our first crossover event.
It's my crossover.
Those were actually backdoor pilots for the Super Friends. They did those, and they had Superman and Wonder Woman on the Brady Kids a couple times. Yeah. And since all of those crossovers went well, they made the Super Friends show because they already had like 4/6 of the stuff drawn out.
I saw that movie, Backdoor Pilot. Thumbs up.
You like that one, JB?
Awesome. Got it on VHS.
Why did Aquaman start getting so much hate? All right.
Well, before we go down that rabbit hole, because I can take some time.
We're gonna go there.
Let's just go back. I want to stay with the. I know for a fact I didn't watch it like as it was airing. I watched it in syndication,
of course.
So
right.
So the order of the way things were watching, because I know that there was more than one of these shows.
Right.
As a kid, I was just watching them because like sometimes they would have certain people on, sometimes they would have others. Mm-hmm. And I know that they were bringing in other people, but when we were talking pre-show, like whatever show had the Wonder Twins, like that was my show. Mm-hmm. Right. I remember Zan and Jaina perfectly, and then JB was like, well, remember there was another kid that had a cape with a dog, and I was like, wait, what?
In the later seasons.
Mm-hmm. They had the first season, and they got rid of them quickly and brought in Zan and Jaina for 77 through the end.
There you
My
go.
favorite thing was the Legion of Doom. Whenever they came in on that giant helmet,
the big Darth Vader.
I just have one thing about Legion of Doom. when they met at their secret headquarters, where did they park? It was all swamp water.
I know.
Were these guys swimming to their meeting?
No, well, a couple of them were, but the rest of them probably flew in. Or like Luthor, I'm sure had a rocket pack, and
I mean, come on. How stupid would it be to have open parking at your secret base?
Yeah, maybe the parking was on the helmet, and then the whole thing sunk into the thing together. But then your car
When
would be
you
all
guys
fucked up when
ever complain at work about the parking situation, just be glad that you don't work at the Legion of Doom.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say this is a quick, short segue, but even bringing back that old cartoon, there was the Hall of Justice. It was kind of like, as a kid, for us, it was like that iconic building.
Definitely.
I know you don't like this, but there was that crossover event in the CW, the DC on CW, where it was like a old Star Labs hangar, and when it turned around to the front of it, it looked exactly like the Hall of Justice.
That giant monitor that was like,
man, and it was just, I felt like I was just like, oh, way to go, CW. DC on CW for giving us that shot, because that's what that's where they all got together. And then even in later, because I watched Young Justice with my son, and they would have the Hall of Justice like on that show. It was kind of like a museum, kind of like a tour. People can come in and like, this isn't the real place where the Super Friends hang out, where the Justice League gets down.
Right.
They actually get down on the watchtower that's orbiting in outer space. But they would have, at least in this version, they were like, hey, people can come in and do tours, kind of like the White House, you know.
Who owns the Dallas Cowboys?
Jerry Jones.
He would have been proud of that Justice League screen. Even him. You know how big the screen is over in that stadium that they play that footballs at. Love it.
Shoehorned that one in there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, any of you guys actually remember an episode that you loved of the Super Friends? I remember one.
Yes, I do, but please continue.
Well, the one episode I remember was one of my favorites was, I believe the Toy Man was the villain, and he took the superheroes and put them into the Wizard of Oz. And one of them, he had the Tin Man, the Straw Man. I believe Aquaman was the Straw Man.
Of course.
If I remember correctly. And you had the Lion and Dorothy, and they had to like go through the Wizard of Oz challenge or whatever it was.
And it seemed provocative when you were a kid. It's like, well, everything is the Wizard of Oz, actually.
But I really enjoyed that episode.
Mine was when the giants were fighting. Who was the giant on the Legion of Doom side?
Apache Chief.
Apache Chief.
Apache Chief! He was a Super Friend.
There was Apache Chief.
There was Giganta on the Challenge of Super Friends. Wonder Woman's film.
When they fought, I loved seeing the giants clash, and not the football team.
You know, my favorite episode is when whenever Superman was like being the leader, and then Batman would say what he was gonna do.
Oh yeah.
Damn it, Superman! Quit beating me to the punch.
and don't forget Batman's disappearing emblem on his cape, on the back of his cape. You can watch, it would appear and disappear, flash in and out.
And once in a while, Robin's aura would change from black on yellow to yellow on black for no reason. What's going on there, or the other way around? Like, what?
I don't think I ever noticed, because I always watched it on a 19-inch screen, so I was
black
like,
and white on top of that. Right?
Yeah.
I understand.
Super Friends have colors? Whoa.
I always thought Mitzelplick was the worst. I didn't necessarily.
Well,
I don't like magic.
The cartoon version always sucked. First of all, because they called him Mixelplick, which is not even close. But that's okay. It was good enough for us because we were kids. But like they just had him like, it was pretty much Skeletor in shrunken form.
I know. I always thought he was a DJ.
Now I'm having a memory right now, and this could be wrong. But
I like it.
Mitzelplick, he was on the Super Friends, and did he ever end up on like the Flintstones? Right? I feel like
no,
that was the Great Gazoo.
The Great Gazoo.
Yeah, same character, just about.
Yeah, they based Mixelplick, pretty much on the Great Gazoo, as far as you could tell.
Yeah. I feel like it was like, hey, wait a minute, isn't the villain from here? He's messing with Fred. If Superman couldn't do it, what is Barney Rubble gonna do?
Gosh damn Genji Chini out of my face. Well, gee, Fred, I was going to give him some Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles.
I always hated also Bizarro Superman. I always
Really?
thought
I
love Bizarro.
What do you have against Bizarro Superman?
because he's got Superman in his name.
Well, he doesn't really. He's just Bizarro. But sometimes they tag that on him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Me no like Superman. Take out of name. You know. That was
I
pretty much
know.
a one note. They wrote him like they used to write Super Baby. You know, it was like the same script.
right. It's like if you're going to talk backwards, talk completely backwards. All right, don't just mix up words.
When I'm 7, it was fine. I
Right.
understood exactly what he said and what he meant by that.
Yeah,
I can
You know,
really
in
sympathize.
the
with
later
it.
seasons, they had Bizarro Cyborg, they had Bizarro Wonder Woman, they had Bizarro everybody in one of the later episodes. So you really dislike that one.
Speaking of
Or
Cyborg,
you might love it, you never know.
Yeah.
Now I remember Cyborg on the cartoon. But that wasn't the early 70s run. Was that like a later run? Or was
That was
like
in Justice
85.
League. Wasn't it? When Cyborg first showed up? Or
Yeah,
no,
when they
no,
went
he's
to
in
the
Superpowers.
Superpowers team,
Superpowers?
He's in
redesigned everything.
Superpowers.
You know, so Secret Wars and Superpowers were the competing things there. So
And
when they redesigned all the figures, we got the new
Yes.
robot Brainiac that wasn't green with red things on his head, and
Right.
Luthor in the power suit armor and stuff that he still wears now.
Oh, I love that power suit armor.
And I got again so it was Black Vulcan also because Black Vulcan was supposed to be Black Lightning, but
Yeah, Black Vulcan was in the Super Friends.
So
Cyborg was
70s.
Superpowers.
yeah,
And
I'm really glad that they didn't name
I think-
Cyborg Black Cyborg because I'd have really seen it
Black
being
Cyborg. I wonder why they didn't.
yeah, because I was actually upset when Black Canary wasn't black. Wait a minute,
That's not the DC way.
that's not the DC way. You're a white canary unless told otherwise.
Oh boy, that's good.
No, but I remember again. For me, until I started doing my research for this show, I never realized that they were different shows. I thought it was all one.
Really sort of one show, but they just kept retitling it every year, you know?
So were they just retitling it because that's just the DC way? Because I felt like the voices and everything were pretty much the same.
As
It
far as
was,
I
yeah.
can remember,
They
yeah.
carried all that over. It was just it shifted from 30 minutes to 60 minutes to 90 minutes back to 30 minutes. Then they started doing the 7-minute chunks with the public service things
Right.
in between.
Yes.
Where like
I
Wonder
remember
Woman
that.
would teach you how to not burn your house down and stuff.
The PSAs. I love all PSAs as a child.
I love
Oh,
this
yeah.
PSA.
And those led to G.I. Joe. I mean, that was like the direct path. Like this is
Yeah.
where that comes from.
That's where that came from.
Exactly.
And what was the other one? The I'm just a bill on Capital.
Schoolhouse
That's
Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock.
That's going to be
And
another
they all
show.
had the
I could
best
go off
funky
on that.
70s music behind them.
Yeah,
The
the
PSAs
best.
and the Schoolhouse Rock.
There's so many things that not drowning my food. I learned that
Yeah.
from these.
Don't
Did you learn how to
drown
make
your
a
food.
wagon wheel?
That's how you make a wagon wheel. Glue.
Anchor for
I
a
need
hunk
glue.
of cheese.
And brush
There
your
you go.
teeth because you don't want to be a yuck.
You don't want to be a yuck mouth.
Yeah.
I know how to stop, drop, and roll. You know,
Yeah.
if there's a fire.
I know how to
You
get
know.
a job thanks to Zach.
You know not to drink crap from under the sink?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Wait, what? You're not supposed to drink that?
No. You know, I saw one yesterday where Bugs Bunny was telling people not to, like, make sure to turn your pot handles into the stove so kids don't grab them.
Oh,
Yep.
and
I
remember
still
the
do
one
that
where
to this
where
day.
he slides on the countertop because he's like, there's too much sugar or something. Like, no, mom. What was that? The
Wow.
my kids love Bugs Bunny because it's sugar free. What
Oh,
was
that was
that?
from Bugs Bunny Vitamins.
Yeah.
Was that vitamins?
There you
Okay.
go.
Mom,
We have just taken a triple segue.
yeah.
I'm telling you.
Woo.
And I had one more.
What the-
I think it was also Bugs Bunny who taught us to, when you run your bath water, you run it with cold and then you use hot water to heat it up. I don't do that. I take my baths
Alright.
scalding hot.
You'll be okay.
That was the 70s energy conservation thing. Now people are just like,
Rayman
forget
burn
it.
the baby. Rayman burn the baby.
Oh my god.
Burn the baby.
To bring this back around to Super Friends, I remember
What?
around like 87, 88, McDonald's had Happy Meal toys that had Bugs Bunny dressed as Superman, Daffy Duck as Batman, and so on. Remember those things?
Oh wow! Yeah,
I do.
That was good. And were they made out of the heavy plastic, or were they like the chibi shit?
They were that hard rubber stuff.
Yeah.
I still have a collectible glass that they did for the Super Friends. The only one I have left though is Wonder Woman. I had
You broke them all?
Huh?
You broke them all?
Well, they were old.
You were still drinking out of them?
No, I wasn't drinking. It's put away. I got it wrapped up.
Gotcha.
Apparently, the actual glasses made of glass are highly collectible. I have one that shows this dog trying to catch I believe it's a coyote or somebody. It's a Looney Tunes one. I have one with Wonder Woman.
Wow. You should bring those in, man.
Yeah, if I remember, I'll
You should have
them
brought them in for this show.
for this show.
Now
We'll bring it in.
Because I knew this tangent you're going to spin off.
you have to be prepared.
Take
Be
photos
prepared,
and send
Flash.
them along. They'll still be in the show.
Yeah.
Still have time.
Well,
Who were your going back to the Super Friends?
go ahead.
Whenever they would, they would always have an episode where they would feature one of the superheroes. Did you ever have? This is kind of like tailing on where you're talking about.
A crush on Wonder Woman?
No, with the why did everybody start dumping on Green Lantern? Who was when they did one and you were just like, here's one with Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
Exactly that. You called it right there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
What's your background? What are you guys doing? Where's Batman?
Yeah, they were kind of the wackest, and I do remember. I didn't hate Aquaman. All right, I don't give him all the hate. I didn't give him the hate now. Actually, that movie looks.
His shows were going to be a solid underwater adventure, or else they were going to be. He was going to desperately need to get to water in 15 minutes or whatever. That was the only two options.
Yeah,
Mom, why can't I have a giant seahorse?
because they don't exist.
Yeah.
Enough said.
It wasn't fair. The other characters had like Batman and Robin had choreography. They would pull from their belts and swing the thing and throw it all in this. They were all in sync, like a dance troupe.
I loved it. Definitely.
Batman.
That was a very 70s sort of thing too. Like they were going to do the YMCA dance next.
Holy mackerel. Well,
Oh, remember the ones in space where all had the bubbles on their head? It's like, that's all you need to survive in space.
Yeah, no suit.
No suit, just a bubble on your head. Wonder Woman's wearing a bustier with a bubble on her head, and
It's
she's
not cold
fine.
at all.
exactly.
It's not cold. But she's Amazonian. She doesn't even need that.
No,
Definitely not. Yeah. Batman did. He had his pointy ears in there too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never just.
Did he have a bubble with pointy ears on it?
Yeah.
Or did he have the pointy ears in the bubble?
In the
I
bubble.
think they
In the
actually
bubble.
pointed the bubble up for the ears, perhaps. Now they would for sure.
Bubble up.
You ever wonder why Superman needed that supermobile he got later? Like, why does Superman need a spacecraft?
Oh,
Like,
and
from
don't
red
forget-
sun areas.
And they didn't create this, but the dumbest vehicle in comics, the Invisible Jet, was in the
It was in the
Super
show.
Friends.
Yes. Was that? And that was before it was on the Wonder Woman TV show.
Yeah, and I still have that question: how do you know where you parked?
Again.
Well, it's like the Enterprise in Star Trek 4. They have that thing that tells you where it is so you don't run into the side.
Yeah. My luck, I do it all
I-
the time.
The best thing about the Invisible Jet is that a few years ago they released a Hot Wheels toy of the Invisible Jet, and it literally was a empty bubble.
That's great. That is so great.
It's like it's funny. You got the Invisible Jet. Like some people like where are my keys? You'd always be like, nah. Boop boop.
You're standing right in front of it. I know it's here.
Oh.
I know it's here.
Lights invisible. Toilet invisible.
Oh,
Cabin
wow.
door invisible.
Yeah. Everything invisible. Instruments invisible.
So when she takes a poop in the invisible toilet, you can see the poop.
Maybe she could see the plane. Maybe it's just us that couldn't see the plane.
You
know
who
what?
could else see
That
the
would
plane?
make a lot more sense because she has to fly it, and there was no instrumentation or nothing. Like, how do you know anything, Wonder Woman? Like,
Well, they recently did a Wonder Woman movie animated, and DC, one of DC's animated, Warner Brothers, very good.
Right.
Steve Trevor's in the Invisible Jet. There's a nuke heading towards Washington, D.C. He's trying to shoot it down. It's like, all right, got a missile lock. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And all of a sudden the missile explodes. And, oh, hardy har, invisible rockets.
Oh boy.
It's a great movie. You guys should see it. It's simply titled Wonder Woman. It's one of the like I said, the Warner Brother DC animated movies. Very good.
Yeah, I like those.
I'll let you borrow it, in fact.
Okay, that's good because I always felt like I don't know why they can get it right in animation, and then when they go to film,
it's their strong suit.
It's still Warner Brothers. I don't understand.
I know
it's the same executives that had made this decision are the same ones.
You know, those are for kids, and the movies are for adults.
No, these movies are not for kids.
In fact, I just watched John Constantine.
Yeah,
and it's definitely not a kid show, but they've got like 150 movies, and like 70% of them are just great, and then the other 30% are okay,
but they're still better than
Marvel.
Yeah,
I know it's better
than Marvel.
Marvel's animated movies are terrible.
Oh, they're animated movies.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the.
Well, that's why I wanted you to clarify because I didn't even know.
You didn't know that Marvel made animated movies.
I can't even think of a Marvel animated movie right now.
Oh, you can just look on Netflix. They've got some stinkers on there.
Yeah, they're on there. You don't know about them because they're not good.
They are bad.
There was a bad Iron Man one. I think they did Planet Hulk, which wasn't very good.
You know what? Now I'm okay. Now I can see.
I saw one with Doctor.
I don't watch. Oh, I did see the Doctor Strange,
and there was
I thought
the
that
Punisher with Black Widow, which was entirely forgettable. It's just it's weird. It's like Marvel makes these great movies. They can't do anything animated, and Warner Brothers is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
In fact, I just saw a collection at Best Buy. I was tempted to buy it, but it's so expensive. It was like over 150 movies of all their animated up to date. DC animated. I'd love to buy it. I just don't have money for it right now.
That is good. I've thought about that. I when I go by and I see it, and I'll be like, oh, let me write down this one so I could check it out later because I know they have so many Batman movies, and I know we talked about that. We actually saw when we saw The Killing Joke.
Yeah,
I was actually, I know we're way off topic here, but when it was like Batman had sex with Barbara Gordon, and then treated her like she wasn't nobody.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
straight G, son.
And well, it's not just that. It's not. I mean, she's a young girl. You're an older man, and it's your buddy's daughter. Yeah. It was like everything about that was. And then she got shot, and you were like, yeah, well,
you checked all the boxes of being an asshole.
Yeah,
very non-Super Friends Batman.
Yeah, very non.
Great Scott, Robin! I can't believe that happened.
And then in the Batman and Harley Quinn one, Harley Quinn gets with Nightwing, and they do the business, and then she treats him like, all right, that's good, thanks, buddy. I was like, hey, this ain't for kids, man.
No, it's not for kids.
Casual sex.
They're
great movie
good though. I mean, I remember Batman Ninja came out. I'm like, this movie has to be terrible just because of the name.
I heard.
I'm gonna watch it. I have it. It was a great movie.
Pup said, "Did you guys see Batman Ninja?" And I looked at Batman Ninja. No.
You got. I mean, that is such a bad concept and such a bad idea, and they make this great movie out of it. And it's unbelievable. It's like Warner Brothers, man. Why don't you do that on your regular movies, not just the animated ones?
And to go back to what Harp said, Aquaman does look bad, but I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I hate myself, and I go and I like to support the comic book movies because they got. Well, I was Wonder Woman. I was happy with Wonder Woman.
Definitely, and I still keep waiting for lightning to strike twice. I've seen Suicide Squad once in the theater. They got my money, and I've probably seen it like 8 times not in the theater. I hate it every time, but I still watch it.
There you go.
I still love Man of Steel. I love the Batman trilogy. I love Wonder Woman. Batman vs Superman I thought was okay. The ending was good.
No, you did not.
The ending
was good.
The fight with Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman versus
Apocalypse.
I thought that was good.
I thought it was Doom.
I know. That's through an apocalypse.
Yeah, because it was
entirely forgettable that Doomsday was in there.
Doomsday, he's a loser character, but then Justice League, I enjoyed it. I don't care what you guys say. I enjoyed the movie.
You're wrong. You did not enjoy that movie.
I did. The only part of the movie I thought was weak was the mother box in the water sequence when they were fighting the Atlanteans.
And that's what makes me think Aquaman's going to suck because, come on, man. The whole sequence with the Amazonians.
That was good.
And then, you know, you got 2 inept guards. Where's Austin Powers at?
No, it's like I said before, Orko could have taken the mother box. Yeah. So desired. But not high security is quite a high security.
All right, you know what? We are DC bashing, and I'm sorry because
and I'm not DC bashing.
I know you're not. I am.
I kind of was.
Well, it's the contrast to we really liked the Super Friends and the fact that they were sticking somewhat comic-y and the stories were cool and everything was good. And now this other stuff is a bit different, you know.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's the contrast is obvious there, you know. But somewhere in the middle is where the DC animated films are. Sometimes they're very dark, sometimes they're very light, but they try to stay close to the original books. You know, very well. I saw the Teen Titans one. Like, wow, this is almost scripted from the book.
Nice. Now I tell you what, Gleek. I was okay with Gleek.
That was a monkey, right?
That was
correct.
A blue monkey.
A blue monkey.
Was he blue?
I saw it in black and white. I have no idea.
Blue space monkey. There you go.
Named after spitting. Which was
it's the other way around. I think.
They were the pet of Zan and Jaina, the Wonder Twins. That was their pet.
Yeah.
Gleek.
Jaina always can morph into something that was useful. Zan would morph into a pail of water.
He morphed into objects. She morphed into animals.
Yeah.
Living things versus...
A gorilla would come in more handy than a sheet of ice, even though that sheet of ice would come in handy for whatever situation they needed it for. But I'm like, come on, man.
I'm sure he would have traded powers if he could. It's just, he was stuck with what he had.
Yeah.
I always liked when she turned into a pterodactyl carrying him in a bucket, you know.
Well, I do like how they did make they opted to go with the female character having the stronger ability.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because they really could have just gave Zan all the cool stuff, and Jaina's like, oh, well, you're a woman.
Yeah.
So you'll just turn into a nice dress.
You can get captured and we'll rescue you.
Yeah, but you know what? They flipped that on its ear. And
they
had a strong.
They were aliens, right? Didn't they have like pointy ears or something?
Pointy ears. They had a mole haircut. Even the monkey had a mole haircut. Monkey mole.
The monkey had a mole.
And Wonder Twins.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they
were made. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they were made strictly for the cartoon. They weren't in the books.
Well, there was a Super Friends comic book.
You know what I mean, though. They weren't part of DC canon.
No, they showed up in DC way later.
It was kind of like Harley Quinn was created for a Batman animated series.
Yes.
And you would not know that now. She's probably one of the most popular female, if not one of the most popular characters, right behind Superman and Batman.
Well, she first appeared in Batman Adventures, which is the comic version of the animated series. And that is the big, valuable, hot issue everybody's after.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, because nobody bought those. Like, this is a kiddie comic. So,
and now it's a monster. I love hearing that.
Just that issue. I don't think that other issue is worth anything.
Is number 2, the 73 to 76 show, just iconic in my eyes. I mean, I could watch those now and, you know, just be taken back to the glory days of sitting in front of the big screen. Well, I'm sorry, small screen TV that we had in my
yes, because the big screen didn't work.
I had Batman Underoos.
You had?
I had Batman Underoos. Oh, yeah. I had Spider-Man as well.
Yeah, one of my, you know, the family stories you have. Me, my cousin who's on a show probably a couple years back, and another cousin of ours had our underoos on. Nighttime, we were at my aunt's house.
This story.
Yeah. Aunt had a glass table. Next to that glass table, it was the 70s. Next to that glass table was a couch. It was kind of close to the glass table. So I was like, you know what? I think I can make that. Batman underoos on. Felt like Batman. Standing on the couch. Jumped over the table. Batman! My other cousin, he was like, I think he may have had Robin. He jumped over Robin. And then Big Mill, who was Little Mill at the time, jumped. Didn't quite make it over the table. Superman crashed right through that mug. Ah. He got cut up real bad. He bled a lot.
Oh, wow. That was not a safety
It was
glass
bad.
Yeah, it was glass.
It was real glass, and it was real bad.
Yeah.
Stitches.
His parents beating his ass the whole time.
They beat his ass at least after he got his stitches.
Yeah.
He had to get stitches.
Oh, that's
yeah.
good.
You know, my Underoos story isn't as painful, but is traumatic.
Yeah.
I've shared it on the show before, but I had some Superman Underoos, and long story short, I was cleaning up my room and ran across them, and they were way too small for me, but I put them on, and I was like, I got my Superman drawers on. I was wearing them all day. I ended up going to some a college party thing, and they were doing some initiation.
So you were wearing these way after you should have been.
I really should have took them off immediately after I put them on, and
no, I'm saying
they were cutting into my thigh.
You owned those way after.
I found them in like a bag full of clothes. You know.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
And because I was cleaning out some stuff.
They weren't like tucked back in the drawer.
No, God, no.
Because I'm just saying, they weren't in the rotation. It
was all folded up in a bag full of clothes, and I'm pulling out all these old clothes when I was a kid, and I was thinking, I could probably give some, like, hand me down some to my brother.
Yeah.
Because he was about that age. So I was like going through, and I saw the underwear that I'm not going to give my brother an old pair of drawers I had when I was like 9. That's disgusting. But but when I put them on, because I was like 17, maybe 8. I was too old.
You were on the cusp of adulthood.
Yeah, I was
old enough to vote.
Because I thought they were definitely cutting into the thighs. Something terrible.
Yeah.
So when I get to this college party, and they're supposed to be doing it, and they wanted these guys for their initiation to do a striptease. The guys were being funny, or they didn't want to do it. And I was like, man, I'll do it. And they were like, yeah. So all these girls were like, take it off, take it off. So I'm dancing, I'm taking my shirt off, I'm doing the whole thing, start slowly unbuttoning my pants. They're like, take it off, take it off. And when I pulled down, and the S was on, and all the clapping just stopped. Yeah. And they all was like, and I had red welts because I had them on all day. So I had the red welts digging into my thighs, and I pulled it down. And Tommy looked over at me. He was like, because Tom was one of the guys doing the thing, yeah. And he looked over at me. He was like, and I was like, oh!
Wow.
Oh shit!
Way after it was fashionable, and before it was fashionable again to wear
tiny whities
or something with an emblem on it. I don't know. With that,
I used to wear the Superman underoos too and jump around, but I never went out of the house. Well, maybe not. Definitely not like that.
I completely forgot I had them on.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah, that sounds like something you'd say in court.
Yeah. I forgot. I completely forgot I had these on.
Yeah. Well, we hope that you, the audience, have as much reverence for the Super Friends and Superman underoos that we have.
Anybody else got anything going out? Well, I'd like to give a shout out to my man AM.
Before,
like, follow, and subscribe. I stand by my statements.
Before the gratuitous plugs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Joker only ever in like one episode? Of like, they had like 100 and something episodes. The Joker was like in one.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing the Joker and Super Friends. They made a really crappy Batman animated show around the same time, and the Joker was in almost every episode. I remember they teamed it up where I was living with Tarzan and called it the Batman Tarzan Power Hour.
Yes.
Remember that?
Batman, Tarzan, Lone Ranger.
Yeah, and Lone Ranger was, I remember him being in there, but the Joker was almost always the villain. Batmite, and they had Bat Dog. There's a Bat Hound. I don't remember what they called it, but Batman had a dog.
Put a bat symbol on it, it's a bat thing.
That's right.
Like Crypto.
We just had a service jacket on, that's what made him the Bat Dog.
No.
I remember Aquaman's you know, his villain was Black Manta.
Yes.
He had that big ass helmet on. He always had the helmet. Always.
Yeah, always.
And he was Black Manta. So when I finally was watching another one of those, the later episodes, the more animated series that they're doing now, he took the helmet off. Yeah. He was a black guy underneath.
Yeah.
And I was like, so Black Manta this whole time was a black guy?
I had no
Black
idea either.
man.
Yeah. And I was like, I did not know that. I didn't even know that there were black people in Atlantis. Yeah. Until Black Manta took off.
Well, he was not an Atlantean. He's a human. That's why he wears a helmet, because he can't breathe underwater.
Well, how come Aqualad is his son, and Aqualad is an Atlantean? Or is
same as Aquaman, he's only half.
Yeah. He's...
So Aquaman's father's a regular human.
So Black Manta hooked up with an Atlantean woman. And that's the reason why Aqualad has blonde hair and blue eyes.
He actually
he's a black kid.
He actually infiltrated into. He kind of like I'm going to represent the surface dwellers. I'm going to help you. We're going to develop weapons to protect you. Kind of ingraced himself with the local government.
Yes.
Ingratiated himself in the local government.
And spread his seed.
And then they realized Aquaman was the one who realized he was evil. He was trying to take over the seas, destroy the surface world.
Right.
And that's when their whole battle started.
Having sex with our women. Wait, what?
And remember, Aquaman's a latecomer. It's one of the switches usually. I'm not hating on Marvel. I'm just saying a lot of times Marvel will steal kind of
They stole from each other.
Character.
Come on.
Well, Aquaman's stolen from Namor. Namor's the old character, and around the 40s. I think it was
you know what?
45.
I'm feeling what you're saying.
That's right. And Chuck D.
we could probably actually do a whole show of who was there first.
Yeah,
You know, between DC and Marvel, because there was a lot of borrowings going on.
Super Friends, the Hulk, Solomon Grundy, they look exactly alike in the comics. Yeah. Except one is white, one is green.
Man Thing, Swamp Thing.
Yeah, well,
And with that.
I'm Ralphie D.
For Frank G, Ralphie D, Johnny Willie, I'm Coolwater Kurt saying, always remember, if we're going to live together, we're going to have to be able to play together. The more colors, the more better. Peace and love must rule each and every time. Love knows no boundaries, and bullets have no names.
Wonder Twin Powers, activate.
252.
Adonis, pull yourself together.